Hello and welcome to today's episode of Mitten Backstage. Hope you're doing well. I am sitting down today with David Ward, a drummer, percussionist, MC, producer. He just does a million different things. We sit down and chat about, working as musicians over the past year, some of our creative projects, advocating for better conditions for musicians, and all the fun that comes from exploring different facets of the music industry. We also chat a little bit about his recent addition to the Earth Radio crew over the last year and how he's been fitting into that lineup. And some of our shared, some of the people we happen to know that live on opposite ends of the country. Like, he didn't grow up in Michigan, and yet we know a few similar people. So it was great to chat about all those things on this episode today. If you liked today's conversation and want to support my podcasting efforts, you can go to patreon.com/Dr. Snedeker. There you can contribute at different tier levels to get early access to podcast episodes, exclusive merch, and more. You can also head over to DrSnedeker.com to see everything else that I'm currently up to around the internet. And as always, if you enjoyed the episode, whether you watched it or listened to it, you can like, comment, subscribe, all those things that help algorithms push the content out further, and offers me a chance to see some of your feedback, what you liked about the show, what you didn't like about the show. All those good things help make the show better for you and more fun for me. Because it really is fun to, keep improving these shows as they keep, as I keep making them. All right, let's get right into today's conversation with David Ward. There we go. Yeah, I forgot that you made that shirt into a cutoff.
Keep Earth Radio hip.
Yeah, we need the merch tweaking. We need the cutoffs and the fall wear and the.
We need patches.
Yeah, patches. All the accessory things that. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I was actually, like, in my closet. I have just a bag that has random stickers and like a drawer with a bunch of pins in it, and I'm like, yeah, people do like these things and use them more than me.
I'm telling you, man, it's once we get the patches for Sabbatical, it's over.
Yeah,
the game will have been changed.
Be elevated. But I see Drake in the backdrop.
Oh yeah. You ever watch that show Dave?
Yeah, not a ton of episodes. I think I checked out like 2 or 3 of them.
There's an episode in Dave that deals, well, because his name is Lil Dicky, right?
Right.
And his name is like a meta way of dealing with the fact that he, in real life, completely true what I'm about to say, has, like, he was born with defects on his dick, and he had to, like, get surgery. There was, like, multiple different problems surrounding genitalia. And he's also, like, a Jewish boy. And, so there's, like, the whole, like, the whole, like, insecurity over his dick is literally his rap name. It's like a meta way of, like, making fun of it. And so this episode that the Drake poster is in reference to is about that, where the episode that mainly deals with, like, him and his girlfriend who they don't have very intimate sexual relations, and she doesn't really know why, and, like, hasn't really, like, poked at it, and it's all because of, like, all this stuff that's going on when he was a baby, and, like, still to this day is, like, But pretty much every time in that episode, every time Lil Dicky or Dave achieves an orgasm, somehow, for some reason, he looks up on his wall and there's a poster of Drake just staring back at him. There's no explanation. I don't, like, maybe, like, a real theory, like a film theory nerd could, like, go analyze that shit, but that's what this is for.
Just a
my,
reminder of
my friend bought it for me for my birthday, so it wasn't like I didn't go out to look for this thing.
yeah, I well and I was just thinking of I don't know, Drake's one of those people who just put out a recent album that, a lot of people are talking about. And there was that thought of like, it's like, okay, do I want to check this out? Like Yeba's on it. Like, who else is on it? Like, is it something, kind of like same with Donda. Like, okay, it's, this thing that is out and I
Yeah.
wasn't hyped for it, but I see the hype around it and I'm like, that'd be interesting to check it out.
The the track listing, dude. Are we? Is this? We're started, huh?
Yeah, we just kind of roll into it and I make an intro and outro like after
So
the fact.
this is that Drake album, right? And like just like a regular album, like it has all the features of all the people, right? But when you get down, oh no, when you get down to the song that has Yeba on it, I don't know if you can see it. Yeba's Heartbreak. The only song where there's no feature listed, but the artist name has changed. The other interesting thing about that song, Drake is not on it. It's just Yeba singing a song with a piano player. That's it. The only song Drake's not on his own album as well.
Whoa.
And just another thing too. I don't know what happened in the world of like mainstream or popular music, but for the last like 10 years, artists have been putting out like short albums, 30 minutes, 50 minutes. But both Donda and Certified Lover Boy are. This one's an hour 26. I think Donda's like an hour 40. So they're like back to full length albums on these two projects. I don't know. I haven't checked out if other artists releasing stuff today are still doing that. And I mean, there are also artists who didn't release short projects in that time. But Drake and Kanye both have been releasing short projects before this. So this is like, that's another weird thing about this whole release season.
Yeah, that's like I'm wondering if it's like, there's a counterweight to like the fact that with the pandemic and people quarantining and having way more time to kind of sink into listening to more music or watching more videos or whatever way they're consuming art. Now there's like this like testing the waters of like, oh, what if I did just put all of these songs on like a 2-hour album? What would happen?
True. Very true. Damn. I mean, honestly, I feel like we are all experiencing that as musicians, that people are not the same at shows like they used to be before the pandemic. Like I can't build my band set based on a set that we played in 2019. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we don't even think about it that way anymore. Like we were trying to give people that classic band like I call it the ADHD set, where like if you can get the person in the crowd who has the most severe ADHD to stay paying attention to your set, then you've got everybody else. You know what I mean? Like that's my theory behind it. Like, and I wouldn't say that like attention deficit, like the actual like disorder, like the scientific, the like biological thing that goes on in the brains has changed, but like I feel like the average crowd is different now. Like they'll pay attention a little longer almost. I don't necessarily know if that's true yet, but that's kind of what I've been noticing.
Yeah, I've been feeling that, with some of the shows Earth Radio's done this year. I think of like our recent Rake Beer show, it felt like everyone was there to, they were there to absorb what we were doing on stage rather than just being there passively or like, having that mix of like, oh, we'll go up to dance for our favorite songs and then we'll go back, and sit down with our drinks when we're not into it. It was like there's more of a shared attention in the crowd, which I hope translates to other spots because that would be a great trend to see like more people engaged with what we're doing.
Ouch. Absolutely. Yeah, people are like maybe I mean I'm younger, right? I'm 23, so like there's always like I always grew up hearing like like people my father's age going like, man, when we were younger, we just used to go check out shows. You know what I mean? Like we would just go. We didn't care who the band was and blah 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 blah. But that's like when I was, I guess I always thought of that prior to this whole previous couple years. But thought to that, I thought more of that like, oh, they were just like shows were cheaper. They could just go out and see whatever. It doesn't matter. Blah blah blah. I was thinking in that like that mindset. But then again, for you to go out and check out a show of a band you never heard of or never seen, you're just going out. You don't even know what you're gonna catch. You're just gonna go out and like catch it. Like that's like something about like how we think about art. It's not necessarily just like socioeconomic or like like whatever. It's not just the material value of the like experience, because I always thought it was like, okay, five, yeah, I would go out and see three bands I never heard for $5 at a bar where my friends were going. That sounds fun too. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, I just played a show, and there most of the people, I wouldn't say most, maybe a good like maybe half of the people at the show, there's three bands, had never heard of my band, and the first band was their first like show. So I'm like, there's all these people coming out and paying $10, you know, to come check out at least most likely two bands they've never heard of and one band they had heard of, and that band wasn't even like headlining or closing. You know what I mean? So it was like, man, maybe people are starting to like just want to go check shit out. I mean, even myself, I never wanted to really check shit out either. I'll be honest. Like, I'd rather just go to shows that I want to watch, and I wouldn't. They're like, oh, I just heard. Yeah, I wouldn't go into shows of bands I never heard of, really, like on purpose. Like that wasn't like a. That didn't seem interesting to me, and now it does. Like, all of a sudden, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and I think of like, going to some of my first festivals in like, high school, and having that as kind of, a vehicle for like checking out bands that I necessarily didn't know. I distinctly remember one that was at like, I think it was at the Royal Oak Theater, and they did, it was almost like whoever made the lineup, me in 10th grade listening to all different kinds of like metal and of all different varieties, and having a festival where it was like, like After the Burial and then like Alizana. You're like, okay, this, technical, groovy, heavy, genty-ish band with like, some good hooks. And then Alizana, like that kind of Midwest emo flavored, rock with like a certain vocal, like a lot of falsetto vocals and,
Yeah.
way more poppy. And then it would go back to like, I wrestled a bear once, a goofy multi-genre metal circus. And then it would cut back to like, like Asking Alexandria, like, okay, Sumerian Records, like one of their higher earners, because they're like a more popular metal act. And so, those moments of like, all right, I'm here at Warped Tour to see these 12 bands, but there's going to be time to kill in between all these sets. So let's see what other bands are out there.
Man, maybe I guess I'm sure that was, yeah, I guess I didn't go to a lot of festivals. Interesting. I've always found myself on billings with bands that are similar to my band. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, before Earth Radio, because that's like, who the fuck do you play with that's similar to Earth Radio?
Not a lot of people.
I mean, but like, yeah, I mean, now people are starting to go like, hey, do you want to like perform after this like hip hop set? Like, do you like the weekend at the Pig that got canceled, unfortunately, like was like my night was gonna be like a kind of like an alt punk band into like a heavy Midwest, like somewhat like East Coast type of vibe rapper into that band Stormy Cromer.
Oh,
you
yep.
know? And like and their groovy kind of jammy type of shit. And then like another rapper who is more like heady and very lyrical, sings very hype, and then into a funk band. Like a show can be built like that now, and people were hyped for it. I was hyped for it, and I think that might be the new wave, man. Just like let's give people like different things to listen to if they want to come and hear five bands, not like five alt emo bands in a row at varying degrees of technicality or whatever. Like they'll be like, man, all these bands, they all sound the same except the last one sounded much better than the one two bands ago, and the next band is going to sound like they've been playing for 10 more years, but it's the same music for 5 sets, you know.
Yeah, and I noticed that on this little what was it, Rise Bakery, this newer spot that's also houses a branch of Squib Coffee, this East Town coffee shop. It's this newer spot close to John Ball Zoo in Grand Rapids, and they had a little like kickoff event with, I think it was 4 bands, and Normal Mode started it, the trio I have with Ian Thompson and Nathan Coles, and we do like spacey, lo-fi, instrumental, jazzy stuff, but we also will do certain covers of jazz arrangements of Radiohead tunes and other rock tunes, and then we played a Tigran song, like we did the Dream Voyager, and wrapped that all up into some presentation. And then like the next band was like a Michigan indie band, and then August played after them, and they're like a soul pop, like with like a sprinkling of fusion type band that's very heavy on the vocal harmonies. So like, yeah, to have like people who stayed that whole time, and sometimes it was hard to get people to like, hey, you can clap, you can just like woo, like cheer, do anything. But people stuck around the whole 4 hours of sets. So
That's dope. We're in a new era.
Yeah, I'm ready for. I was talking with Justin earlier today about booking, so that like he's gonna get into his rhythm, and I have to, after a year and a half essentially off of that grind, I have to get back into it.
Same, dude. Same. And I'm disorganized. I just want to start over for the next year. Like that's all. Like that's how I feel at this point. Like the rest of this year is just like I don't even know how to do it anymore. We'll start for next year.
Yeah, I'm just like whatever. I have some stuff that's planned. Who knows if it'll stay planned? But I'm going to start conversations for next year, and fingers crossed, I still have my musical residency that'll happen in January and February. And that's always actually a good time. I mean, it's good work, and it's fun working with those people. But it also is more of a regular schedule for 2 months to kind of kick off the year and be like, all right, I'll carve out this much time to book, maybe do a little bit of practicing, maybe work on something in a recording wise, like to have a more consistent schedule than just like, yeah, anything can happen any day of the week that's not a gig.
Yeah, dude. I feel you, man. I feel you. Oh, yeah. Gnarly weird time we were living in. But hey, it does seem a little better for me, for at least the scene of music I'm playing in, than it was before. It looks like it will become better. We've got more opportunities, I think, as long as we don't let these clubs destroy us anymore.
Yeah, I had the pause from like hitting up certain venues or any venue, I guess. It definitely had me thinking about like, are people going to have enough self-awareness being away from that environment to realize, oh yeah, there were these things that I didn't like about this place that weren't just like, oh, the color of the walls, like toxic people working the door, toxic people behind the bar, the vibe that any band coming through a venue, like, do they show some level of respect? Are they professional? Do they just, they look at your age and think you're not good, or they look at your band and they don't understand it and they just begrudgingly bill you. It's like, I'd rather play places that like want me to show up and like will support what I'm doing than just, you know, have the great aggregator of like, okay, if I send 10,000 emails, I'll get like, 100 bar gigs at tiny towns where people just look at me confused for $200.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully when you get up, when we're not playing bar, I mean, I wouldn't say bar gigs are always horrible, but like when
Right.
you're getting out of just playing entertainment gigs for people who could care less, let's hope to make a little bit more money.
Yes.
That's your bar. That's your this Joseph Diaz, the bass player.
Yeah.
He's bad. He's a very bad cat, and he's been like really talking about like the concept of unionizing, right? And for a musician, it's like what's our leverage against, not against, but yeah, what's our leverage for when we're negotiating with people, and like how often do we forget what our leverage is? The main thing he said that kind of opened my mind is like, what sets your establishment apart from any other establishment in town if it doesn't have like live music? Because I can go to 10 to 15 other bars or restaurants in a 20-mile radius that don't have music, but you do, and that is, you have it because it's part of what sets you apart. It's not just like you just had the ability to do it and you're just doing it because you can, like whatever. Like it's not only is it a part of what sets you apart, but that also in turn ties into how much money you can make from the community around you, because you gotta stay open, and you gotta like do repairs and update things and whatnot. Like you want your bar to always be looking better, so you're using the revenue that you make from musicians to like fund that. Yeah, you're not allowing the musicians to like feel like they're a partner in the endeavor. It's just like show up and do your little dance, sing your little song, and then get out, and we'll see you when you're starving again. Like here's a couple blocks of cheese. Go ask Jesus to turn this fish into more fish. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I feel like with contract work, businesses, they're used to, I think I mentioned this on, I don't know. I've said so many words this year with all these podcasts. I'm pretty sure I talked about it at some point, but the idea that like, the contract worker, oh, we need a plumber, needs to fix the plumbing in the bathroom. You look up, the options, you call a few places, get some quotes, find the person that, see how good of a job they do, normal contract stuff. A plumber doesn't have to go like, hey, my name's Dave. I've been a plumber for 30 years. And here's, like, yes, they have a website and like a point of reference as a business, but they don't have to like, here's me attaching a new piping fixture to the sink. And here's a video of me like, running a toilet snake down to like clear a blockage in a septic system. Like, they just they read like, oh, he's a plumber, he's been around more than 5 minutes, let's hire him. And for musicians, it's like, age doesn't dictate experience. Like, if someone looked at Justin Schultz and saw his age, they'd be like, oh, this kid's like, he's a teenager, like why would I hire him to do anything? But then you realize he's been playing since he was, like, could just sit up, and and he's really talented. Like, there's you don't need he's already got media. Like, go look at you're not going to ask Justin Schultz like, hey, could you send me you playing some pop music background style? It's like, no.
Right.
So
I think it's interesting too, because musicians, I think that proves a theory that I have, that music always, like, people are paying for less than what they're getting. And that's not like in a monetary sense, but they value the experience that they value what you're going to bring into their life, additional to like money. Like it's more than the money they're paying for. Because if it was less, they just wouldn't pay for it. But like that, a plumber transaction is just, I need you to do the amount of work that will fix my problem, and I'm going to pay you exactly that amount of work. I'm not expecting you to do more for me. I'm not expecting you to do less. We're talking about meeting at the price that it is supposed to be. And musicians are always adding way more value to a person's experience or life or club or whatever. And like, so people, but also because of that, there's so many musicians and artists that's like, oh, we can just find anybody. But like, that's a horrible mindset when you're thinking about like the difference between a musician who is playing to just play, to just make some money. It's their hobby, whatever. They're fucking 10 dads who have a band together and they'll show up at your club and it's like, whatever. They're just shooting the shit. Or like musicians who are there to like make people have an experience. You know what I mean? And like, we undervalue ourselves a lot because like we don't upcharge the fact that we are aiding people's lives in a very like real way. You know what I mean? Like, we just like, okay, this is how far we had to drive. This is how many people we have in the band. This is how many hours we have to play. Like, give us that money. Like, no, we're not plumbers. We're fucking artisans, and we do this shit with intention. The good ones of us, the best ones, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely, I agree that like, you know, people yeah, artists that are like committed and understand like, you know, the relationship of being on stage to the audience, or, you know, working on their craft behind the scenes so that anytime they get on you know, out in public, they do a good job and it connects with people around them. And then there's always, you know, there's the follow-up. Like it's weird because it's like, you know, like, oh yeah, my band got paid $500. We played 3 sets. You know, people danced, people, you know, might have just been sitting there drunk, but also just in their own head space and their own feelings. Like, oh, you know, who knows how people are reacting to different songs. But the environment, you know, if it's built around music, there has to be that understanding of like, oh yeah, I don't want to just like fill it with noise. I want to fill it with, you know, an experience rather than, you know, like if you just want to fill it with noise, like get one of those touch tune jukeboxes and let any person with an app pay $5 to play, you know, Skinner all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not just noise, dude. I mean, yeah. Noise is music. Music is noise. There's that whole fucking thing, whatever. But,
yeah. Yes, there are noise bands. Yes, I've seen, you know, like Detroit's got a festival that I don't even, maybe it's happening virtually this year. It would be like, I think this weekend or next weekend. They typically host it in September, but the Strange Beautiful Music Festival. And it's like partnered by, you know, like the Detroit Symphony, New Music Detroit, a collective of musicians that play works by living composers in various chamber settings, whether it's like electroacoustic or like, you know, semi-improvisatory, or, you know, all the way out in outer space. Like, oh, this is a oscillator and drum set duo for 45 minutes.
Nice.
And you get, you know, super conceptual and you know, and people turn out because like, yeah, like we were saying earlier, like I think people, you know, in those spaces are used to being kind of delighting in the unexpected. They pay a flat fee for the festival and then they don't know. It's like, will I like microtonal piano from Clem Fortuna, or will I like, you know, the DSO members playing Music for 18 by Steve Reich or something after I heard solo tam tam for you know, an hour. So yeah,
sick. I like that. I like that shit a lot.
Yeah, and there's like I feel like there's you know, a shift in some ways that festivals are kind of putting lineups together too. There's an attempt at the biggest level of like broad appeal, but then broad appeal also has to include, like you're not going to see a lot of hip hop at like a bluegrass festival, but you are going to see a more loose definition of bluegrass. Like you're going to get, a spectrum within what people recognize versus, like, oh yeah, Lil Yachty's on this bluegrass festival. We don't know why, but here he goes.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I've always noticed there's like a lot of neo soul, R&B, and funk bands who like headline jazz festivals. Fuck yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit Jazz Festival, a lot of hip hop already show up too, and they go to the jam sessions and whatnot. Like, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have I been? Do you have? Did, have I been like leading us away from questions that you may have asked me? Okay.
The only things I was thinking about, just for, great way to introduce a guest, 20 some minutes in or however long it's been. I mean, people know you from Sabbatical Bob. They know that you are a drummer and also an MC, that you also joined up with us in Earth Radio and have been playing with us on certain shows over the last year and recorded on our recent single. But I think only a handful of people that I've personally talked to know that somehow, like in the universe of all the millions of musicians, like somehow my family out in Washington.
Dude, I was like, first off, I mean, I'd never heard your last name other than at Washington State University, right? Like, so yeah, my father taught at Washington State. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. Taught at Portland State. Was a musician around the Portland area for a long time, and then got a job at Washington State University, which is in Pullman, Washington, which is 6 miles away from Idaho. Like we're on the border of Idaho, south of Spokane. We have to drive 2 hours to get to an airport, and most of the time your flights go from Spokane to Seattle and then wherever else the fuck you want to go. So we are like, they call it the inland Northwest. It's not necessarily the Pacific Northwest, but there's too many words to explain the inland Northwest. But that's what it is, right? So like, I mean, like if you wanted to get cheaper booze, you drive 6 miles, go to Idaho. It's like real, you know what I mean? Like takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get over there. Like that's like, I played most of my gigs in Idaho. In fact, it's a really interesting little spot because, whereas Washington is mostly a blue state, presidential voting wise, and there's little pockets. It's a blue state, meaning it votes blue, but it's mostly like Seattle. It's mostly the west coast of the state that votes Democratic or whatever, right? And my little town is like one of the few red counties around my area, and across the border, the other city, there's Pullman, and then there's Moscow, Idaho. So that's like where the University of Idaho is. So Washington State, University of Idaho, really close to each other. Two college towns right next to each other. Washington State definitely a bit bigger, but and then Moscow is like a blue county surrounded by the red county. So like it's really weird how they flip. But also I played most of my gigs in Moscow. Was playing like weekly jam sessions, blah blah blah. So yeah, Washington State University, where my father taught jazz piano. And one year I just meet a kid named Garrett Snedeker, and I just I think I played a couple jam sessions with him. Didn't really know him very well, but he studied with my father for, I think it was all 4 years, or was it 3? Maybe he left. No, it was all 4. I think it was all 4. And yeah, and then I moved to Michigan. I'm here for a few years. They're like, yeah, let's see if we're gonna play on Earth Radio. And then I meet you, and I feel like we played like a few gigs, and then I was like, wait, I know a Snedeker. And he's like, yeah, it's my cousin. The fuck? That's crazy, ridiculous.
such a small, because like the recommendation for you to be in the band came from Travis Swanson when he was leaving the band, and you both had played together, went to school together, and yeah, just like totally on a whim. Like, I think of all the like the circumstantial things that like if I hadn't went to Grand Valley, I wouldn't have met Kelly Dillon in my theory class, and now she's Kelly Fritcher because she was dating Brad Fritcher. Brad Fritcher introduced me to Justin Wieringa, Justin Avdek, Mario, a bunch of Muskegonites, and then also hired and introduced me to Travis Swanson, and then Travis Swanson moved down to GR after being up in the UP for most of his life, and it's like, oh, if I had played in a band with Travis, I wouldn't have known he was going to U of M, and then we wouldn't have asked about like, oh, who do you know out east, and it's like there's so many connective threads to
wild, so wild. But here we are. Yeah.
He's actually because he moved where your parents live now. I think they live in the same region, maybe
Kansas or Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri. Yeah, Kansas City, maybe. Yeah. Well, and because now that he's in the center of the state, or center of the country rather, he we're gonna have him over for Thanksgiving this year, and I was like, it's crazy. Just
sick. Oh yeah, I have to get down to Thanksgiving this year. Oh man, now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Just for is this gonna be all audio?
No, this will be video as well.
Just because you saw it, and I think you reacted to it, but so my parents live in Kansas City now, right? And they own a food truck. My mother owns a food truck. My dad's studying jazz composition doctorate at Kansas University, KU. But mom has a food truck, right? And so the last time I saw mom and dad, I went to help them with their food truck. It was a festival that was like 6 hours away. It was a lot of heavy lifting. It was going to be a lot of food being sold. So they wanted me and my little brother to come down and help them. So we went down, and it's in this weird little town called Garden City. It was a food truck festival, I believe, or a festival of some sort. And they had a bunch of food trucks. And it was just hot. It was like 100 degrees every day. I'm standing over a fryer. It smells like cow shit because there's a bunch of cows down there. And one day, I think it was like the second day. We did 3 days. Did we not? Or was it 2 days? Maybe it was 2 days. So on the second day, this lady came up and she had a camera and she was like, "Can I take a picture of could you make what looks the most like appetizing? Like, could we get something made like for a photo for whatever?" I wasn't listening, and I was like, it was like 4 p.m. I got a line of like 30, 40 people. Each ticket's taking about 7 minutes. Like, I've got 9 tickets lined up. We're telling people to hold on even ordering for a second. And this lady comes in and is like, "Can you make something?" I'm like, "No, you can pick something that you see come off the line. If you want me to take a picture of it, we'll take a picture of that. And then I'm going to give that food to the person who ordered it. I'm not fucking slipping a ticket in this hectic line just so you can get a photo, right?" So then she takes this photo and she's like, "Okay, can you turn this way? Can you move your head? Can you tilt?" I'm like, "Yo, I gotta make this food. Get out of my face." I was in a mood, right? I wasn't the happiest at the time. It's okay. But this is what came out of it. A photo of me from some random magazine called Kansas Gourmet Living, Kansas Country Living. Kansas Country Living, right?
Yeah.
"Oh, that's so cute. Look, that's the face of a man who needs you to get out of my face. I need you to go. Please hurry up and leave. Thank you so much." But it made the cover of the magazine. Also, look at that po' boy. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful.
Ooh, that looks good.
Yeah. So it's just two hilarious things. I'm on the cover of a Kansas magazine because of my mother's food truck. And that is the moment they caught. Me being like, "Get away from me, please, so I can make the food." I figured since you brought up Kansas, I figured I'd show you that little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
funny. Like those moments are, because to some degree with Instagram, well, social media, I guess in general, and YouTube, and the people who want to follow that kind of like Hollywood or produced content culture. There's
yeah.
an idea, they're starting to sell like like Charlie D'Amelio ring lights to kids at Target because like that's who they're looking at on TikTok, but
Yeah.
everyone expects that every moment of like, oh yeah, that cover, I bet they had to schedule time and like set up a shoot. It's like, nah, sometimes you just get a photo in the moment and hope it works.
And I don't even know who. I didn't know was going to be in a magazine. They didn't tell me anything. They didn't say what they were from or what they were doing. Someone even, like, we only found out because someone who my mom, like, someone who came to the truck, I think, during that weekend, took a picture and sent it in, or one of her friends or something. It was like, they just happened to, they had to send it, a picture of it to us for us to even know that it happened and that it was printed. So then my mom bought 15, of course.
Yeah, as my mom would probably do the same thing.
But I got a copy, so I'm okay, I'm hyped. That's so ridiculous. And I'm in tens of homes around Kansas, I'm sure. No, I don't know how big the magazine is. I'm just talking shit, bro.
You're in 5 dentist office.
If you're from Kansas and that's like your like that's like your like biggest thing, I'm sorry if I'm making fun of you. I don't know anything. I don't actually know anything about Kansas. I just knew that I drove through like 6 hours of nothing to find myself in a city that smelled only like cow shit.
Yeah, it's funny to think that like it kind of parallels like what happens to us as musicians, where we take a gig and we're like, oh, we'll see, it's at this place, or oh, it's at the food and wine convention, and it's just people eating and drinking, and they walk by you playing jazz or something,
Yeah.
and then you see like, oh, someone took a video and it like made a highlight reel for some company who was one of the vendors, and now they're hitting you up about playing one of their events or something. And you're like, I just took this as a background gig, and apparently I have other gigs coming from it.
I mean, like, we like to make fun of it. The exposure bucks are cool sometimes. We can't eat off that. That's just a perk. That should just be benefits. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be like what you consider our base pay. Like, that happens, and that it's dope. And musicians do get gigs like that. And I wouldn't say super often, and I wouldn't say like not often at all. Like, it just like depends. It's like the luck of the draw sort of thing. So that's what it is. You can't pay us in a thing that's only like a chance. It's like a per chance. Like, by chance, someone happened to like watch the video and think to themselves, "I'm gonna hire this band that I saw in this video, and I'm gonna take the steps that I need to take to figure out who that band was." Has to go through like 10 emails just to find who that is. Like, that's that happens, I guess, but it's not like you can't like bet on it, and that's why it's not payment for a band. It's just a perk. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's like people think the people who see like old movies about like old music industry, like Motown, or early America jazz, or rock and roll in like the 80s, and like they just think like, oh yeah, this band just they just played at these like tiny bar gigs, and a producer just happened to be getting a drink there, and now they're famous because he ushered them into the industry. And it's like, nah, people can just do that on Instagram now. Like, literally just some dude can type in like hashtag lo-fi jazz and look at 1,000 people and just be like, that guy's good, I'll follow him.
right, exactly. Dude, those hashtags, man. The hashtags are exposure.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I tell people the peak exposure gigs that you'd think I'd have, that it's like, oh, that's why you're working so much. It's like, no, it's all interpersonal relationships and just kind of showing up prepared, and not being a horrible person to work with.
Yeah.
But I think of like, I did 2 graduation ceremonies probably more, but I just remember this specific day because I had to do the early and the evening. Like just basically hang out at Van Andel Arena all day, and so there's 2 ceremonies, thousands of people, graduating, and then thousands more like in their family support and friends and stuff. And Tom Haas was still the president at Grand Valley, and nice dude. Was, I guess, I think he was a science teacher before that, but not the strongest public speaker. Even with a name like mine, where you can write it out phonetically, it's like, hey, what are most West Michiganders Dutch? And then just put an at the end of it. And you think that'd be easy for people to say, but both ceremonies, I accompanied a vocalist for the first ceremony, and then I was part of like a chamber group for the second one, and both times they read out, who participated, and it was like, in my head, I'm like, all right, this is exposure bucks. Like, there's 20,000 people here. He's going to read out my name. Some people probably enjoyed what happened, and, they can look me up in the program later. And he was like, all right, we'd like to thank, the singer and his accompanist, Duncan Seneca. I'm just like, no.
Duncan Seneca. I'm calling you that from now on.
Yeah, I'll just add that to my list of aliases.
You might as well go by it because people can look you up now, because that's who they're gonna start looking up that name. You might as well at least try to grab them.
Yeah, it was just like
.com, and then you get it and it just redirects to DutcherSnedeker.com.
Yeah, I just own like 10 extra domains that I'll reroute to.
Yeah, dude, that's actually genius. That's freaking genius.
Yeah, because I've had people like, they hear someone mispronounce, like Ducher, or like, they default to some other Dutch last name like Snyder or Sneeder, and Snedeker, and well, yeah. And
working at a newspaper, you can say Dutcher's Snedeker.
Yeah, Dutcher's an editor.
Stupid.
Well, and I think he's a fan of Earth Radio, but and I think he knew Hannah before that, and me. This dude, Mike Schwenecker, and there was a year I did, because I played baseball, up until like junior year of high school. I played from like a little age, and doing little league. There were a couple of years where my dad was the coach, and there was that matchup of like Team Snedeker against Team Schwenecker, and like the announcers just like messing up left and right, like up for bat for Schwit, Snedeker.
Don't you love it?
Yeah. But yeah, exposure bucks are like, that's just a get. It's like saying like, I don't know, like, hey, if you play our venue, there's, clean air to breathe. Like,
dude, can we have water? Just, like, can we walk in through the front door? Matter of fact, would you just at least put some chicken wire up for when your patrons start throwing bottles at us? Like, wow.
Yeah.
What is the bar that we have to maintain? Like, what, like, oh man, yeah, unions. We could do well with a union. The only thing is you got to have everybody on board. You got to like make like, that's like, I mean, it's not part of it, but like, I feel like there's always going to be musicians who don't care about getting paid. They'll just go to the clubs and pay for less money. And then they don't need us to play anymore because they don't care how fucking good the music is. And they're paying $50 a singer-songwriter to come in and play shitty guitar that he like literally learned 2 years ago and is like trying to play gigs and shit. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. It's, yeah, it people, I think there's and it's mentioned earlier, like, oh, booking artistry versus just noise, or just background, like this. Someone tunes in for half a second, they're like, oh, I know this song anyway, and then they go right back to whatever.
Yeah.
I think of like people, business owners who like get people to play for like $50 to do 2 hours of music or something. In their head, they're like, this is a steal. I can say I've checked off the live music box, and it didn't cost me a lot. But then if you're building a culture around that, it's only like it only can go so far, and it only to have that as part of the culture of your business, that kind of disincentivizes people who like, you're like, oh, I don't want to show up on Thursdays because like he's just been booking these like dumb guitar players, or like this piano player who knows 4 songs.
Yeah.
Like it ends up hurting them in the long run, versus like when the listening room hit me up to do a residency, and I was like, oh cool, I can like rotate trios, I can bill this as like it's a regular experience, it's dinner and a show. The show's free, you just got to make a reservation. It's like, and to have that grown over like 5 months, that was huge, because that it raised the level of like, oh, the listening room, more people check that out in that kind of intimate space. And the venue itself got kind of back on track to being able to book shows. And
Yeah.
it was an investment on all fronts. And the fact that they the owners donated their grandmother's Steinway to the space, so there's like a great house piano. It's like all those little details of like, I like playing here as an artist, I like watching shows here as a listener. And then aside from some of the chaos of trying to split a kitchen among 3 different venues and have not as many staff to keep up with the demand, as a whole, it's like, okay, this environment's actually cool to operate in as an employee. I can't speak to how the Lokes family runs Celebration Cinema as a whole, but that's all my little observation of this residency. It's like, hey, if you just give people who've proven they can do things enough time to like develop something, it doesn't just turn into like, hey, it's the musicians hang vibe the crowd hour. It's no, let's have everyone join in on this shared experience and have fun with it.
Absolutely, dude. I love that shit. I love that shit. So some clubs in Ann Arbor. I mean, clubs. There's a club in Ann Arbor that needs to take note. And I mean, like, yeah, yeah. We don't have to get into it. I'm boycotting. I'm boycotting. I don't know how much power this has. I'm not gonna say them out loud. No, I need gigs. And see, that's the problem. Mm-hmm. That's what we're dealing with. I can't even say it. I will tell you. I've probably already told you, but I can't say it. I can't say it on the record because then I will lose my gigs. And I need my gigs. There aren't enough gigs to go around to lose a gig that's in a place that I don't agree with their business policies. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to take them. We are enslaved.
Yeah, and it's so funny too. And like, I remember I had a discussion, if you can even call it that, with some dude. One of my many reasons that I'm like, okay, it's fun to in some aspects to interact with people on Facebook, but then most times it's not. Like, to interact with strangers on certain topics. Yeah. Because I used to be that person that was just kind of like, being like, this is me being trying to explain everything in a comment section that's already devolved into grown men saying they're going to fight each other in fictitious fights. Like, I'm trying to be like, actually, if we just if we look at the systemic problems that our country faces, and they're like, I'm gonna kill you. It's like, all right. But I went for a low hanging fruit from some dude who was like, he made a punctuationless claim about the vaccine or something, and I was like, I think you're mistaking like growing your hair out for dreads and tattoos as like medical expertise.
Get him!
And he just, it was like a very, low hanging fruit joke. And, immediately it was just like, what do you think's wrong with you? Just think I'm a hippie, don't you? You just think, why are you so, it's like middle school, people making fun of each other's appearances. I thought this was adult. And I'm like, dude, you're going off on like, I have zero power. Like,
yeah,
like you're in a completely different environment. I'm a musician, like on the totem pole, unless I like, have some sort of super stardom where I can talk to the president as an artist. Like, like what we most times we're just trying to express our opinions and like into the collective dialogue. We're not like writing policy. Like,
yeah.
Like, so I was just like, why are you mad at me? Like,
he just started screaming no punctuation about the and I listen, I don't even know what he said, but I know what he said. I know what he said. Oh man. Yeah, get vaxxed if you can, people. That's
yep.
I mean, you want to argue about it all you want. The data and studies do not support you. I don't like it's just think about your neighbor. Think about your,
I hate my neighbor. Oh, then think about someone you don't hate.
I think our neighbor doesn't enjoy us, but she doesn't hate us. She's mad that a bunch of boys, like, she has a yard that gets kept up with like almost every day, and like it's like a nice yard, and there's like bird baths, and like we're over here, and if we have to put a bag of trash on the ground because there's 5 dudes in the house and there's one trash can, and then a raccoon gets into it, and then we don't clean it up immediately, she's already like calling the city and shit. Like, we got the letter, like, if the trash is not cleaned up when we come back, then you're gonna get a fine. Oh, thank you, HOA. Don't we love the HOA?
We love them. Yeah, well, and I brought up that analogy just as like, it's the same in the idea that like we can't be critical of the spaces that we're playing in as artists because it could close a potential door for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's one of those things where I kind of had to learn a lot that some doors just get closed and you don't really have any control over it. Sometimes if you're doing the consistent work that's like it's not just like 2 people being like, yeah, you're doing great. It's like, oh no, these people I see at shows regularly, or people who buy albums or however way they express their support, like they know what you're about, and that's extra, that's going to cancel like a bunch of people saying like, oh yeah, why aren't you booking this band at a place that has already in their mind wrote you off? That changes their opinion to be like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I have a bunch of customers coming up and saying that they love this band. Like, why am I not giving them a chance? Or, why at the same time, they could just still be stubborn because they're like, this is how my grandfather ran his business and I'm running my business this way.
Yeah.
It's but
business, old booking, old business tactics and practices, and they suck. And they want to make more money, and they want to like modernize, but they don't want to change that shit. It makes no sense.
Yeah. It's so much of booking is like, it's like they hide all the info. You have to find, like, I know a server who can tell her manager to tell the owner to tell the booking agent.
Yeah.
Like, however many degrees removed. And then, you're always kind of keeping your eyes and ears open, like at a festival, like, all right, who's here? Like, this guy runs a production company. This guy I could hire to do sound in Traverse City. Like, I don't know, like you're keeping that list of like the people who can you can hire, or who might be in your corner and it could support you on the road or, on a show. And yeah, sometimes it's like a venue closes themselves off to you. I've been in the mindset of like not really seeking out opportunities at certain venues because, like I think of some place like, Billy's Lounge. I've outgrown Billy's Lounge because I spent 4 years playing 4-hour sets there,
Yeah.
at least once to twice a month. And that's the peak. That's peak Billy's. Like you get people dancing more consistently than ignoring you, and you get hired back more than once every 3 months. That's Billy's. And that will always be there. So why, if it doesn't serve the music that I'm currently making, like, I don't need to have that as like, oh, well, we gotta, we're from Grand Rapids. You got to play everywhere in Grand. No, we just got to play the cool spots and the spots that people like showing up to.
Yeah, I feel you. Sabbatical Bob doesn't play a lot of gigs around Ann Arbor and Ipsy. There's not a lot of spots we want us. We play house shows more than we play like clubs. Not a spot. No, I wouldn't say they don't want us, but there's just like not a lot of spots in general, and like can't play too often, and it's not that big of a place. It's like damn, So we got to get outside. Got to go to West. Got to go to North Michigan. Try to find a place that will let us come in and cause chaos and then leave, and then hopefully they'll book us again when we try to come back. But yeah, a lot of clubs. There's a good club called Ziggy's in Ypsilanti, and by no means is it super high profile or anything like that necessarily yet. Absolutely can be. It has been growing. I love Ziggy's so much. My main point about Ziggy's is that the owner, David, and his wife, Joe. Yes, I'm almost certain. I would be sad to be forgetting her name right now. But they like they are there to like facilitate the music scene coming together. They want to sell. He had this idea. He wanted to sell. I think he was doing it. He was definitely doing. We never got one, but set like pairing merch with beer and like selling them together, like of different local bands and shit. Because they were selling pandemic. They were selling like to go beer, like pickup beer, and so like pairing like advertising like this band's CD or this band's T-shirt with like a fucking 6-pack or a growler or whatever they were selling, like pretty sick. He has shit like that, and it's just like that's the type of place I want to play for. Even if I'm not gonna go there and make a bunch of money, it's like, we gotta. Those are the places like they're cool. We gotta. If they're like little gyms around,
Yeah, I think of like Rake Beer Project's definitely been that for Earth Radio. Like just the it's a very community driven vibe on those Thursday shows of having like local yoga, local farm stands, the limited beer release, which I don't know why. Like, I mean, I guess it's the business or margins or bottom line or whatever, but I don't know why more like places that make beer that also host music don't do features to like even something like they didn't have to make anything at Ziggy's. They just all they did was take what you already had and what they already have and just package it and sell it. And people like I think of like the way that stuff is like packaged and like presented to people, like you can pretty much sell whatever. Like that's been proven. Like if you are willing to sell anything, there is a buyer for that.
Absolutely.
So to just to have a simple like, or like I noticed there would be a small little uptick in Bandcamp sales when for Bandcamp Friday, it's the Reanimate package, and it's got the CD, a shirt, and like a couple other things for one price. And then, I was thinking about that, and I like the shirt design. Like it gets people thinking across. It's about the bigger picture rather than just like, like I don't really listen to CDs. It's like but someone else, you could gift it to them. You could wear the shirt. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but
yeah, come on, man. All your family and friends would want this CD. Just buy it.
Yeah.
And the life of the party when you show up with this thing.
Yeah, well, and all my relatives bought a shirt with my face on it, so
I want one of those shirts.
Yeah, we got to do. I'm thinking of, you know, I might, because I know it's popular as Earth Radio merch, and we could have those prints. I definitely want to, make my own personal. I'm thinking the idea I have, at least for, Patreon, but also to have as merch. Patrons have been getting, with the monthly newsletter, a sticker, and it's, I commission an artist locally to, at least for this year, the theme is just use my likeness, put me doing whatever, like on the piano or whatever. And then I, print them up locally for stickers. And I think for kind of a year one marker for this idea, I want to get the sticker designs like gridded out on a shirt, and then just like have that as like, hey, you didn't get all these stickers, but you can still buy all these designs on a shirt. And yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I might do that.
They're already like monthed out.
Yeah. That's true. Calendars.
10% on the back end. No, I'm just fine. That's tight. Yeah, I'm starting to think about ideas for Sabbatical Bob, more like unique merch, or like just things like to give people or whatever. Like, we did a run of t-shirts and then we sold most of them, and then we never did another run of t-shirts. It's just like, also because we printed our own, we like bought a screen press and tried to like press our own shirts, and they came out pretty good. It's a lot of work, so we gotta do it again. We gotta get back in the shed, so to speak.
Yeah, I think of those moments going to see shows where I'm like, that's cool merch, or that's a cool idea. This band, Last Chance to Reason, they're kind of like a early 20 teens, video gamey prog metal band, and their singer ended up going on to play in the Contortionist. And they're, still doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
But Last Chance to Reason, they had 3 albums, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And level 2 was like, a big step up in how they presented it, and like I think the mixing and, the writing and stuff. And they had, I think it was around the time that like a lot of indie game developers were making stuff for Xbox Live Arcade, and they commissioned somebody to make like a very short, it was kind of like an album teaser made into a rail shooter. So it had like, 8 levels, and it would preview each track in the level. And, it had stylized art similar to the album cover. And it was something you could download at home, but on tour they brought like a little CRT and an Xbox, and they just had people like play the album essentially.
That's sick as fuck.
Just like really cool, like, or like Radiohead every so often will do, like I think the last merch thing they did, although it looks like they're packaging some classic albums together in some fashion for a thing soon. But they had that, like, it's like the Radiohead like public library or something, and you could like make your own virtual library card to get access to Radiohead's like whole discography or something, or like unreleased stuff and back end things, and it just, it's like on the broadest end, it's like, oh, they wanted people to go to their website more, but then on the smaller end, it's giving their community another way to engage with what they've already been making.
Dude, I mean, guerrilla marketing at the end of the day, it's just like whatever you can do that's not just like putting an ad in front of a person's face. So much better than putting an ad in front of a person's face every time, dude. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Sabbatical Bob has laced all of our stickers around campus. They're everywhere. Bathrooms, they're everywhere. Like all poles on the diag and in the different buildings. People are always like seeing photos of like LOL found the Sabbatical Bob sticker. Like, yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. But there's so many more creative things to do. I guess we gotta get back into it. You know.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of the modern music folks that are killing it at marketing at an earlier age. They build that fan base to then start creating art against and see who buys shirts or buy. I watched a breakdown of Tyler the Creator's career and just seeing how he with the Odd Future stuff and like the building like this is what Odd Future looks like, sounds like, how we're like at shows. Like they built this whole culture around how the band was presented, or like, oh, we do comedy skits but we also make music. And yeah, it was like all cylinders firing on all different ends. Like it's like, oh, did you watch the show? Did you see someone wearing that shirt? Did you listen to that album? Did you hear that single on the radio? Like, well, I don't know about his early stuff, but
I don't know if they were putting that shit on the radio. Yeah. Damn, man. Now I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I have a gig I have to be there at 5, and it's an hour away. So it gives me 2 hours. And I gotta go buy slacks, because this is where I am as a musician. I have to go buy slacks before my gig, because I don't have any right now. They don't have holes in them, and I'm gonna like wear them out of the Salvation Army, like straight up. So
right, yeah, yeah. No worries. I was gonna check in because I knew you had more than just this today.
Yeah, dude, the Dirty Dog Jazz Cafe. We're playing 4 nights with Vincent Chandler, Jordan Anderson. I think tonight is Aiden Cafferty, but yeah, 2 nights are Aiden and 2 nights are John Beercott. So
nice.
Fun time this week.
Oh yeah.
Gigs at the same room. That's so fun. You get to just play the same room over and over. That's so nice. I like that. By the time this will be airing, to drive 3 hours from Grand Rapids to watch Friday or Saturday.
Right. Yeah, because this will be up earlier on Friday, so.
So I will have already played Wednesday and Thursday, but there's 2 sets Friday and Saturday. There's only 1 set tonight and tomorrow. But that's cool. I'll go like have an expensive drink and see a friend. Sort of.
Yeah. Where should people find all the things you do?
Yeah, okay. We'll break it down. Let's see. Sabbatical Bob on all streaming platforms. We're going to be releasing a single for our new record in the next few weeks. It's called Drive. It's fire. What else would I say? Of course I'm going to say it's fire. That's stupid. It's a nice tune. It's different from what you've heard from Sabbatical Bob before. So it's going to be dope. The Fiendigods, the rap group I have with my best friend Evan. Fatty Daddy. He's Fatty Daddy. I'm Young Sensei. I produce. We both rap. We're going to be playing shows soon. You can find all our stuff on streaming platforms and SoundCloud. We've got 2 projects on the streaming platforms, and a lot more stuff on the SoundCloud from our early days. It's honestly dope. You can go back and listen to our progression. You can hear our like shittiest music that we made when we were like 14, 15 years old. That started as a class project for fucking biology. We were talking about mitosis. Check out mitosis. It's on SoundCloud. The Fiendigods. I'll spell that. You ready? Fiendigods. At Fiendigods on everything. At Sabbatical Bob on everything. I am Young Sensei on Instagram. You can follow me there. I post a lot of my stuff there. Otherwise, what else am I doing? Earth Radio. You know where to find Earth Radio. And if you don't, you're probably listening to this for the first time and you caught the best episode. Shout out to you. Let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Oh, also, shameless plug. You want to come to Ann Arbor and get drunk on a bike and let me take you around to bars? That's my day job. It happens at night. I pedal people. I pedal drunk people. Well, I don't pedal. They pedal themselves and they get drunk and they go into bars and they loud and they play music and they're loud. If you've seen them around Grand Rapids, they have them there. They have them dancing. Got them in Ann Arbor. Come to Ann Arbor and request me because I will give you the best time possible. Other than that, that's pretty much what I'm doing these days. My eldest brother is a dance instructor and he's hip hop, tap, and other styles, but it's competition season for some that may know, and so he needs edits for his hip hop troops to dance to. You know, they don't like dancing just to the regular track. They want some more flair. They want some more stuff to it. So I do those for him during this time of the year. So I'm also doing that. Playing with Lily Talmers. Oh, that's right. I'm going on the road with Lily. Lily Talmers, dope. If you haven't heard Lily Talmers, please check her out. LILYTALMERS. Amazing folk singer, folk indie singer-songwriter. I don't know what you want to call it. It's like the most beautiful, heart-wrenching music you can possibly hear. And I have to sit there on stage and try not to cry every time I play it with her. And it's a lot different than the other types of stuff I'm playing. It's really chilled out. But check her out on all streaming platforms as well. Going on the road, playing more gigs. Playing in Ferndale with her, which will be the Thursday next Thursday from when you're hearing this. At the Otis Supply, so that'll be fun. Well, am I playing with anybody else these days? I think that's the bulk of my time. Yeah, I give it to those bands and my drunk pedal job. I'm a drunk tour guide, I like to say. So yeah, that's me, man. That's what I do.
Awesome. Yeah, there'll be links for folks to check out in descriptions and things. So click things and listen to all the sounds.
Absolutely. Other than that, man, thank you very much for this. This has been fun.
All right. Thanks so much for listening or watching this episode with David Ward. You know, he's a great dude, great addition to Earth Radio. Hardworking, very creative, multi-talented person. And it's great to have him just here to chat about what he's up to and what he does. So again, if you like these podcasts, you can support by liking, commenting, sharing, all those good things. You can donate monetarily to the Anchor.fm profiles, or easier way, Dutcher Snedeker, patreon.com/Dutcher Snedeker. And then you can go to DutcherSnedeker.com to see everything else. Until next time, we'll see you for a future episode of Mitten Backstage. Take care.